You're listening to a Rock Candy podcast.
You are now entering Magnified Studios. Welcome.
Coming to you from Magnified Studios, Magnified Pod presents Hard to Find a Podcast, covering your favorite indie bands from the 90s Christian alternative scene. Push tape decks on record. I'm Andrew.
I'm John.
And this is our podcast. And I've blown that intro I feel like for the last 3 times at least.
Well, it's all right.
You know, we're just we're so out of practice.
We're not going to be doing that intro too much longer. So
yeah, this is probably maybe
be
the last one.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is sort of what you called before we started a kind of a grab bag episode.
Yeah, it's the year-end assortments.
Yes,
you know,
much
when
like the candies that we eat, there is a variety, different
Indeed.
flavors.
You know, when you wake up on Christmas morning and you see your stocking full of stuff, who knows what's in there? You just dump it out, and it's a bunch of various goodies. That's kind of what this is. Think of this as your stocking full of random year-end things.
Yeah, think of it as me and John stuffing your stocking.
Exactly.
Just
Who wouldn't want to think about that?
Picture us under your tree, Christmas morning.
Mm-hmm. Andrew in his Christmas onesie jammies.
Yeah, I will be laying by your fireplace, maybe atop some sort of fur rug. I don't know, something
beautiful
like
scene. Shake that box around. What are you hearing there? Oh, a little Ghoti Hook interview. Oh, a little pre-show and post-show wrap up with Ghoti Hook. Oh, what's that over here?
Who's coming down the chimney? Is it shadow producer Jason?
I think it's Jason. He's coming in to talk some 5-iron box sets and various other vinyl releases in that box over there. So
yeah, and you know, shadow producer, he sees you when you're sleeping. So
it's true. We have been a little naughty and a little nice this year, so it's a real mixed bag for you. But we did have our momentous Ghoti Hook weekend a few months ago. Yes. Recorded an interview backstage with the band. Great dudes. But before we get to that, most importantly, we talked candy for a good while. So we wanted everybody tuning in to maybe hear about Ghoti Hook to first have to sit through us chewing into the mic, talking about Mike and Ike sours, rating them in our hotel room in Northern Virginia.
I don't know why that's a problem. This feels very much our brand.
Yeah, you know what you're getting.
You know what you're getting.
Cool, exclusive interview with a beloved band upon their reunion. Hope you like candy, everybody, and us talking in depth about it.
Yeah, we had to. This is what we do when we need to create content. We are like, how can we burn some time? Well, I know. Let's go to the hotel commissary area, and
yes,
you
scored bigly. So we did our version of sort of pre-gaming is Pounding Mike and Ike's. So pre-show we did some candy talk. Then I can't remember. Then the band interview, maybe some other stuff along the way. I don't know.
Yeah, we did the band interview. I didn't do a whole lot of editing for the band interview.
Okay.
So we started off backstage, and as you'll see, there's another sound check that started pretty early on, so we had to move. So we'd sort of take you on a audio journey.
Yes.
To a new location, and tried our best to make the audio as listenable as possible. It was kind of a noisy affair, but you know, then after that we will recap the show and share our thoughts about the set list, and then we'll jump right into our conversation with shadow producer Jason, who was in the Twin Cities recently And so we all three of us were together on the couch and talking 5-iron, talking candy again, but it's just talking vinyl and his process of getting this set up with the band. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're gonna leave, I think. This episode and maybe this season. TBD.
I think it's a good spot to end things on. Magpod Nation folks, I think will enjoy all the stuff that Jason gets into, and the ins and outs of the Ghoti Hook reunion, which was everything we dreamed it could be.
Right.
So stick around, hang on tight for this grab bag, and have a great holiday season, and we'll see you on the way out.
John, where are we right now?
Well, Andrew, we have traveled across the country for one reason and one reason only, to see Ghoti Hook reunite tonight in their homeland of Northern Virginia. And we're hours away from the show.
Yes.
Which can only mean one thing for us. It's time to taste some sour candy.
Yeah, so what was the first thing we do? We travel across the country from the Twin Cities to see Ghoti Hook, crash in the hotel, and the first thing, we go to the little commissary food store area in the hotel, and I'm like, oh shit.
We don't ask about booze or their finest dining.
No.
We're like, it's the sour candy situation.
Yeah. And the first thing I saw, of course, was Sour Patch Kids, and I was like, oh, this
For boys.
gotta rep the boys, the Chewy boys. But then there's something that I'd never seen before. We got some Mike and Ike Mega Mix Sour.
That's right.
And John, how many flavors we got here?
Not 3, not 5, not 8, but 10. 10 flavors.
10 flavors.
Run them down real quick.
All right, we got sour zappin' apple, sour screaming cherry. I'm not going to put sour in front of all of them. I think everybody will get the point. Green limeade, power pineapple, grape soda. Ooh, hell yeah. Slammin' strawberry, juicy lemon, pucker punch, watermelon wipeout, and shockin' raspberry.
Oh, man. I'm excited.
I am very into these. I'm specifically... of course, we're both grape daddies. We love the grape. But I also love an apple candy.
Yeah, man.
So let us crack these open. We gotta rally before the show. That's of course we need to get some sugar in us.
Yeah, not shots, but
all right, so I'm just taking a variety out of here and seeing if I can. They're all sort of a similar shape and color.
You think this is grape? I think it's grape.
Oh, so I didn't even get a grape.
Gotta get a grape, bro.
God damn it! There we go. How many? This
not
is
enough grape.
There's not enough grape.
That was delightful. Right?
Oh yeah.
This is some good ASMR right here.
Yeah.
Grape, very good.
Was this a pink one? What is that? What would that be?
Sour slammin' strawberry, I believe. What else we got?
That it would be.
How's that one?
Good.
I'm doing sour sucker punch. Or possibly pineapple. Those are very similar.
Yeah, these are all... Yes. Please take the candy pile from my hand.
From your palm. Ooh. Sour pucker punch, really good.
Hell yeah.
These are a hit, man.
Yeah.
Mike and Ike's really stepping up their game.
I would go into a movie theater. You see the usual stuff. You see the Junior Mints. See Sour Patch Kids. Sometimes you see the Mike and Ike's. I would never buy a Mike and Ike.
Yeah.
I would buy these.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Because these rule.
This is an option.
Yeah.
All right. Sour watermelon wipeout. Oh, man. I got to find a watermelon for you. That's that Airheads taste.
What color is that?
Watermelon. Or dark green. I don't think you have one.
Oh, no.
There are very few. There's only 2 watermelon in this whole box. I'm about to give my bro the other one. Right? Was there only one? There was only one dark green. I'm sorry, man. It was delicious.
It was bullshit.
All right.
Well, at least we found some more grape at the bottom of the box.
That's true.
I don't know what sour pucker punch. I did the cherry or maybe it was the raspberry. Those are also good.
Okay. Did you try the apple yet? Or wait. Hard to tell between apple and green limeade.
The cherry, as expected,
Was
a hit.
a Pink Plan? Was a Red Rider?
For sure. Where's the sour screaming apple? Which one would that be?
Medium green? Maybe that one?
That it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Andrew is gesticulating. Yeah, these are a hit, man. These are good.
Yeah.
Get yourself a box.
Come to Virginia.
Yeah.
Come to the Hilton Gardens. Get yourself some.
Maybe it's a Hilton Garden Inn. Tyson's
It's
Corner
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ghoti Hook. Get yourself sponsored by Mike and Ike Mega Sour. I'm gonna stop palming these now.
Fair.
There we go. Yes. So, just what you guys have wanted.
Yeah, maybe we play this after the Ghoti Hook interview.
Yes. We just saw Ghoti Hook.
Yeah.
The show was amazing.
I'm definitely not deleting Mike and Ike.
All right. So this is one of the. How many grapes have you had?
Well, like 2 or 3, so you can have the
Okay.
rest. I think we've tried most of them at this point. I don't know if I've tried a raspberry. Did you get a raspberry? Is that what that is? Dark red?
It's hard to tell with the reds and the greens.
I think that's a raspberry. Here. A lot of apple in this box. These are all hitting.
All of them are good.
No misses.
No.
All right.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I mean, going for 10 flavors, it's ambitious.
Big swing.
And crushing it.
They pulled it off.
They pulled it off. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, Sour Patch Kids, take notice.
Sorry.
You're on notice. Mondelez International, they're the ones that need to figure out their game.
Well, there's a satisfaction guarantee on these.
Well, I'm satisfied, and I'm guaranteed.
So maybe we call 1-888 Mike Ike to let them know we love their product.
Oh, well, it's Monday through Friday, bro. We're going to have to do it.
Save it for Monday.
Save it for Monday, 9 a.m., first call.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to call a customer service line, I feel like it'd be nice every once in a while to call just for something positive.
Just calling to say I love your product.
Just calling to say that we're a couple grape daddies and we stand your product.
Yeah,
So this gets us the MagPod seal of approval.
absolutely.
This is something I didn't ask for, but they have an actual size on the front of the box.
Tired of walking my boxes being like, that's bullshit. There's no way.
There's no way that's that fucking big.
I'm trying to say they have a quality product here in store for you.
I don't know, John. Let's see.
Pretty close.
Looks
Pretty
a
close.
little.
They might be fudging the truth a little.
Little
bit.
smaller. That's a little ambitious.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Until later. This is the content you always wanted.
that's right.
We will. I don't know where this is going. And
Yeah. Well.
we're gonna talk to the band.
Yeah.
Maybe we already did.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe
What a great show and/or tragic return to stage.
Well, John, we are in Virginia right now.
Yes.
We are at Jam and Java, and we are hanging out with Ghoti Hook in the backstage area pre-show.
Cool guy.
Humble brag, no big deal. But just heard the sound check. How are you guys feeling pre-show? Because is this your first show back after the hiatus, and then there's going to be Furnace Fest?
And then Millersville, Pennsylvania. Phantom Power.
Phantom Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's it feeling?
I mean, feels like old hat to me, yeah.
Yes.
It's going through the motions of setting up, loading the gear, bringing it through the back door, loading it up on stage, doing the sound check, not being able to hear anything. It's all the same, you know.
Back.
The memories flood back.
Yeah.
Is that going to pose a problem sonically?
Sonically,
Yeah.
Should we go out back?
Do you want to see if it's still raining? Do you want to go out back?
Whatever's good for you guys. We don't want to make this hard either.
I've listened to podcasts before where the audio is just so shit that it's just like,
Yeah.
I can't listen to this.
All right.
So it's up to you guys.
Okay. We could try it. You guys are up for it?
yeah, I think
Okay.
this.
Sorry. Nah, don't be.
I mean, we are right behind the stage.
No, you don't. Oh.
It's raining.
Right here.
Oh, there's an upstairs. They have like music lessons up here.
Okay.
I don't know. Is this just a plot to get us
Give us your money.
murder us in secret? So you have been practicing for this for a year now or so?
Yeah, we started getting on. We got on the Zoom call together and started talking things through. We made a spreadsheet. We
Very professional.
Very professional. Listed all the songs. Took us a minute to figure out how to share the file.
It's the first hurdle.
Yeah. And then we wanted to make sure that we reached out on social to ask what people wanted to hear. Because if it was left up to us, we would have.
It would be drastically different. Set list would be drastically different.
Yeah.
How so? Tell us more.
Well, we like the later stuff
Yeah.
usually. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on the first few records, but we're partial to the later stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So, but our most popular stuff is the earlier stuff. So, it would be very skewed if we were just to go on our band's preference.
I will say you bring me down. Sounded awesome out there. So I'm very pumped to hear that one in particular.
We've never done that live. Oh no,
Really?
I guess we.
Yeah, we used to.
Did we do
Yeah,
that live?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not in a couple decades.
Yeah.
So who was the first to initiate the possibility of a reunion?
Chad Pearson, a friend of ours, what did he used to do?
So he used to work at Tooth and
Militia.
Nail Records. Yeah, and then he went on to found Militia.
And PS for Panda.
P is for Panda. He hit us up. It was a really weird scenario. So he works with Chad, who does Furnace Fest. So Chad and Chad work
Right.
together.
Okay.
And so Chad hit us up in a group text, and he's like, "You guys should play Furnace Fest." And I was like, "I don't know." But then that all that's how it started. That was the seed. But a weird side note, the guy who lives across from me in our cul-de-sac was friends with Chad from Furnace Fest all growing up. It was
Okay.
very cyclical.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah, it
We
was
don't
just.
speak.
It's funny because you would think there's like some catalyst really, and it was just like we got the text. It was like, "You guys want to play?" And you're like, "Okay."
It's the
Yeah.
money. Just like doing it for all the
Someone
money.
Someone asked us to play, and we said yes. That was basically what it took.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is funny that it took 20 years to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, there was a little back and forth at first,
sure.
like, do we really want to, reunite for a 30-minute set? And that's what started the conversation about, like, well, why don't we, if we're going to do this, let's play some other shows. And it was really thanks to Adam here that we have this show and the Pennsylvania show.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. When we talked, Joel, we were kind of like, you'd been playing a little more during the pandemic, and like we were like asking about the possibility, and you were like, it's not that there's no chance of it happening. So like, had this been something you guys had talked about it all over the years, or to really take this, like the Furnace Fest sort of prompts to be like, are we actually gonna do it this time?
It was the prompt of Furnace Fest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and we every time we get together, we always talk about.
Sure.
It's always like we spent so many years together that we always talk about the band days and tell funny stories, and always think about what we would like to play together. But it was really Furnace Fest saying, do you guys want to get together? And us saying, oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think if they hadn't asked us, we wouldn't have got together this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the second pandemic that happened was old bands getting back together. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to get on that as quickly as possible.
We saw all the money that was there to be made.
Yeah, we call that the MagPod bump.
That's right. Yeah. Interest rose.
I mean, but do you think, because Unoriginal Vinyl put out Sumo Surprise,
Right.
do you think that maybe contributed to a little bit of people being like, oh yeah, and maybe a little bit more nostalgia and refamiliarizing with music?
I mean, there's still a lot of copies left of that record. So I don't know, that was a real big push.
I think nostalgia is really popular right now, and I don't think we drew a lot of lines between, the vinyl coming out and nostalgia being popular and bands getting back together. I think it was, this is going to sound super corny or whatever, but like the thing that we've talked about the most is it's just nice to hang out again.
Yeah.
Because I think after the pandemic and being in lockdown and all that jazz is very isolating, and so you strip away a lot of the chaff in your life and you get down to the core of who's important to you. And, it's like I lived with these guys on the road and at home for years.
Sorry.
We won't take our clothes off. I don't care.
Doesn't give one fuck, not two fucks. Zero.
I got a whole bucket of zero fucks that I don't give.
Well, we have spent time together. So how often have we done this now? For at least 2 years in a row, we have gotten together at some point in the year and gone for a long weekend together.
Oh, right, yeah.
With JJ and Robbie, who are also here helping us, and so we've stayed in touch. But I don't think when we went on, I feel stupid saying what the name of
The retreat.
The man treat.
the man treat. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Here for it.
Yeah.
I should have worn my T-shirt. We got T-shirts one
man.
year.
Awesome.
But the first year we did it, it was like Billy Power from Tooth and Nail was there.
A lot of bands, yeah. It was a big thing.
Dennis and Mars, Dave Zaker, us, a bunch of people.
Zayo,
Bruce from
Living
Living
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yeah.
So it was a big crew we met down in Georgia, I
It was
think.
like 20, 25 people or something. Yeah.
But then it was like too far. I mean, so we started.
We
just
did
doing
it once.
Yeah. So we just started doing our own little East Coast thing because it was
Yeah.
like too much. We couldn't get away. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's been surprising as you've been playing these songs again? Like, are there particular eras that were more fun to revisit than others, or like what came through to you as you guys were playing together again?
The physical nature of the songs was jarring at first. Because Jamie and I live in Northern Virginia, and Joel lives in Jersey. So Jamie and I practice like every other week. And when we first started, like I'd get halfway through South Capitol Street, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die."
Yeah.
So it's like the earlier stuff was very energetic, very high, output. So that was the most striking thing, is like to be able to get back in shape, to be able to pull this off is it's been nice. Figure instead of me like wheezing, gray face, sweating up on stage in front of everybody.
But Adam's a lot better drummer now than he was back then. So
That's awful.
That's kind of
You were the worst.
It was. I didn't understand like verse chorus pattern to music. I knew there was quieter parts and louder parts and slower parts, and it was for like the first 5 years of the band, it was almost all ad lib. I knew I was supposed to do this type of thing, but like I think it was in my 20s, I was just like, I'm so tired of this shit. I'm tired of being on stage, having no idea what I'm doing. And so I really buckled down, but then even after the band, I kept playing in different bands, and it's really got me to a much better point.
Yeah. Did it feel like there were muscles that needed to rebuild?
Yeah.
Oh,
as like as
this
music
collective,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's plus. I mean, I've been up in Jersey, so I've been playing along to Spotify tracks for the last 8-9 months.
Yeah. Just terrible.
And then I come down and we play together, and it takes me a second to, this is real life. This is the tempo. This is how it actually feels to play it.
There is a tempo.
That's your job.
Well, our first couple records, listening and like playing along with them, relearning, I was like, good Lord. Because I didn't know how to play to a click track. Right. So all of those records are just like, ooh. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, comparatively, I don't know. I guess at this point, like the gel factor isn't even really a thought. It's like it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when Adam and I first started getting together, it was just like we had never. To me, we were locked in timing wise, even with any fluctuations. It's easy to play with these guys for me. Like it didn't take me long to be like, I really need to lock in with Joel, or I really need to lock with Adam. It was just, to me, it came right away. Yeah, it was pretty easy. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not like a prog rock band, so it's not like you got to think about.
Yeah, you're doing math in our head. You're not doing any math while you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, there's the jazz fusion track that you guys did, so I don't know if that. I'm assuming that's on the set list tonight, or
that's such a good
only
idea.
If we want to torture the audience.
It pisses off my son to no end because he'll fall asleep listening to like 2 Years to Never sometimes, and there'll be this long pause, and he starts to doze off, and all of a sudden it's like, it's just like.
I miss the days of secret tracks because
we lamented that a little with
Joel. all of music nowadays is released essentially for streaming. So like the idea that you would have a long track at the end of a digital album doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
But that was like sort of the, when you would get to the end of a CD back in the 90s, and you'd like, oh shit, this is going on. There's a lot of space. Fast forward and to be surprised by nonsense. That was sort of an extra little gift.
And now it shows up in the timing. So you're like, the last song is 19 minutes long. You're like, that's bullshit. I'm not listening to that. It's way too long.
Yeah.
There was I think it was 9 Inch Nails. If you press play on the first track and then you rewind on the CD, it'll go back. Their bonus track was before the first track. It was like this, I forget which record that was, but I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a lost art now.
Yeah.
So for a reunion like this, was there any consideration? Because I know at the end of things it was a trio, but like, was there any consideration about like, do we need to consider other members, previous members? Do we need to, or is it not really a big deal? Or was that part of a conversation at all?
I think we thought about it. I think because it was Furnace Fest and we were going to be flying or driving out there, it just didn't make any sense to bring people from California or other places. And practicing, we already knew just to get the three of us together was going to be a problem. That was going to be an effort. But we did think about it. I mean, we've had members come up on stage before at our last show, and then we did a show in Pennsylvania after our last show, a few years after we had broken up. And I think Conrad played on that show as well. But I don't know. It just I just never thought it was serious. Like we would seriously play with other people. I don't know. For this stint, I thought it would just probably be the three of us.
Yeah.
Back to what Jamie said, it's very pragmatic. It was just financially we couldn't afford to bring people out, but then also, I guess it's we're kind of the core of the band, and we were fine with that, But the Millersville show at Phantom Power, we're having Conrad come out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where is he? Is he living? He's in.
He's living.
Yeah,
He's still alive.
I know he has a podcast.
Yeah.
He does.
I think it's still going.
Him and Adam are real close.
Fast God Talk, I think, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds
something
right.
like that.
And Mark and Christian are both out in California at this point. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told Mark, I was like, we'd love to have you. I was like, unless you want to pay for your own way to get out here.
Yeah, it's tough.
I was like, it kind of sucks, but that's the way it is.
Makes sense. Sure. What about in prep for sets for these headlining shows versus Furnace Fest? Were you conscious of what the Furnace Fest set would look like versus these shows? How did that?
Yeah, when we started talking about what songs and asking people on social what songs would you want to hear, we were focused on the Furnace Fest, so about 10 or 11 songs.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, Adam was looking into playing, here at first, and then we started discussing, okay, well, if we do a full set, now we can look at sort of all these songs that that got bumped out of the top 10. Now we can consider the 10 to 20 range, and and then it became a lot more work. Just to learn all this, I spent, the winter, just doing those 10 songs, and then
Let's double that.
Yeah, let's double that. So it was a lot more.
Yeah.
We still don't know the songs. Sure. I mean, we're gonna get up there tonight.
Yeah.
No, we'll be all right.
But sorry, my son was texting me.
Yeah.
I think the set for Furnace Fest, we wanted to be a little bit more angsty, a little bit,
Sure.
Because I remember the last time we played Furnace Fest, I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we're a little bit out of fish out of
We're like rodeo clowns. We're the ones who get up on stage and we're like, woohoo, we're goofy.
Right.
Where these guys are like, whoa, we're so serious. So we figure we might try to blend in a little bit better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So knock knock, dry run
at the zoo.
Perfect.
At the zoo.
Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Knock Knock has been in our head a lot today.
It's true.
I'm sorry.
No,
what are you crying?
No, I mean, I will say, a couple of years ago when we had Joel on the show, we went through the discography of all you guys and talked about each of the records, and they all hold different special places in our hearts as fans, and I don't know, we're so excited this is happening, that you guys reunited, and when we talked to you, Joel, we were like, if it ever happens, we'll be there. And so just the fact that we're gonna hear this collection of songs from the different eras together live is really exciting. So.
Songs I haven't seen live since probably your Cornerstone show.
Yeah.
So
2002.
over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
You don't even look 20. How old were you at this
Sweet
show?
baby Andrew.
I'm going to be 40 in February, so
He was
Guess
conceived
I'm
at
a
our
little
show.
There was one point over the few years where I think we sent a text to each other. We're like, that all those little kids that were at our shows are now all over 20. This is like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, then there's this one show memory I have, and I feel like I invoked it on the interview with you, and you said that you had zero memory of it, which is not surprising after, many years of playing shows, billion shows. But for me, it was a very striking memory for the kind of... The Christian alternative scene was just known for the most bizarre lineups of bands that shouldn't be on a bill together, but they were. And I saw you guys play in Chicago at North Park University, and it was an EDAN Productions show. It was you guys and POD and Morella's Forest.
Makes sense.
And it was and there, I think there was some I've been trying every once in a while.
Cashmere.
Like I said, yeah, it was like
Nice pool.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm trying to think of the most obscure.
But that was, I remember that show because I think it was my first time seeing you guys, and I think Conrad had already left the band, so I don't know if that puts any sort of like timeline or history in for you, but what was it like, or do you have any specific memories of those kinds of shows where you're just like, where you do feel like a fish out of water, that you're just like, why are we on this bill? Why are we playing here? We don't belong on this set. Or all of them.
I mean, that's such a regular part of our lives that question doesn't even register to me. It's
Ghoti Hook never really fit in.
Every show we played, that's how we felt.
Well, yeah, and even in the very beginning when we were playing, southern, eastern Pennsylvania shows, what was that local band?
Jawbone Hill.
Jawbone Hill, which was, I don't even know how to describe them. But
like alternative.
Alternative, pre-indie, indie. So we sounded nothing alike. And then what was the band we played with where somebody was wearing, one of us was wearing the sombrero, and then it was like your ex-girlfriend was there and was like, oh, it looked like you guys had fun. Who?
That was Prayer Chain.
Prayer Chain, yeah. So here's like
Wayne Everett, one of Wayne Everett's bands.
Yeah, here is like us.
Yeah.
Just in our like goofy phase.
Yeah.
So jumping around like frogs with strange hats and costumes and and then Prayer Chain.
Like emotional.
Yeah.
Wow. As you approach these shows, how did you decide on the Throws and Huntingtons to join you all?
I sent out like texts to a couple different people. Our old guitarist Mark Lacasse, I sent him a text and seeing if he had any idea, because he's pretty good at keeping his finger on the pulse of what's going on. He said he'd think about it, and then I hit up Scott Hatch from Burnt Toast, and I don't know if he's continuing Burnt Toast or if he's doing something new. I think he's doing a lot with Velvet Blue.
Yeah, Velvet Blue.
And he and I went back and forth. I was like, hey, I'm playing we're playing this show. We want to play it with somebody. And he threw some bands, suggestions. And then he suggested the Throws. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Because we did our last EP. Harry was who did the recording.
Okay. Right.
The drummer for the Throws.
Got it. Okay.
And yeah, it seemed, as soon as he said it, it seemed to make sense.
Yeah. Locals, we were friends, so like it was, and we're doing a local Northern Virginia show, which we don't do very often, and they're from here too, so it seemed like a no-brainer. And they were like, yeah, let's do it,
Cool.
Huntington's, like I said, when we played that show in Pennsylvania after we broke up, we played with the Huntingtons, and so we've always been playing shows with each other, it seems, over the years, because we're sort of from the same area. So
they're like in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Maryland,
now.
yeah.
I had no idea. I just thought they were still up in Delaware.
Yeah. So that was another local band. I mean,
crazy.
What a small world.
I woke up this morning. I was so glad.
Yeah, so it was just like, oh, there's a local band that we know.
Yeah.
See if they're interested in playing.
Cool.
Because we wanted someone that people had heard of, because we were just maybe a little bit frightened of doing a show on our own.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 8 kids out there,
Right.
well, maybe we can at least bring someone that can bring some people.
Yeah. Well, confident you all would bring people. Show's sold out. We're very excited to go hear it. You guys have been generous with your time. Thank you for this. We don't want to take up any more, but yeah, thank you all for doing
I hope you
this.
guys have fun. You guys came a long way.
Yeah,
So.
thank you so much for coming.
Where again?
pumped. Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah.
What part?
St. Paul, Minneapolis. Yeah. So
Twin cities.
that's
call them.
right.
That's
They
what they
do.
say. That's what they say.
You're like a geographic whiz.
What else do you know about Maryland and Minnesota?
Tell us.
It's above the Mason-Dixon line.
Ooh.
Most of
Yeah.
it.
DC not. Right. Yeah.
No, it's below. It's below the Mason.
Maryland?
Yeah, I think
Pennsylvania's
Pennsylvania's
the
the cutoff.
There you go.
Son of a
So he's not the authority on Maryland.
I was so I went with my mom to Arkansas to visit family, and she took me to Sunday school while we were there. And they're like, "Well, where are you from?" And I was like, "I'm from Virginia." And they're like, "Oh, a fellow Southern boy." And I was just like, I was like 5 or 6. It had never dawned on me. I was devastated. I just remember sitting there thinking like, "Oh no, we're on the wrong side."
Hometown heroes tonight. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you.
again.
Appreciate it.
All right, John. Post Ghoti Hook High,
Oh man.
as everybody has experienced the post
Naturally.
the post Ghoti Hook High.
Yes.
I don't even know how to convey something. I said to Joel is after the show is like, there's nothing that would have indicated to me that they have not been playing
No.
like nonstop
Yeah.
for their whole career. That
Yeah.
the fact that they've primarily been rehearsing for like the last year or so.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows.
Yeah.
They were tight and they sounded really good. And
Yeah.
for a 3-piece,
No.
they filled it up.
Very hefty sound.
Yes.
Joel shredding on that single guitar.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it didn't sound like, oh, this is missing some additional elements. Like it sounded full and they were tight, as you said, and the sound of the venue. Shout out to Jam and Java.
Yeah.
It's a cool place. They expressed some concern, the dudes before the show to us about like, I don't know, we'll see how we do. Like this is the first show, and like, yeah, you wouldn't have known that it had been a while since the last one.
Yeah. You know, there may be little tempering expectations or whatever.
Yeah.
But like something that Adam said that he's like, it wouldn't be us if we weren't, you know,
Right.
being a little self-deprecating
Yeah.
or whatever. But
Yeah, man. No, the set in general, really, I could not have asked for a better set of songs. It was so fun. They played for a long time.
they played a lot of songs. When they were bringing out the set list, I'm like,
There's a lot of songs
I was
on
peeking
there.
at it. I'm like, oh man, that's a long list.
Yeah, we
Not mad about it though.
did Joel dedicate Middle Ground to me from the stage? Possibly he did that. And when they did that, they said that they never played it live, which I did not know. And the song absolutely shredded. But they also played South Capitol Street.
Yep.
Which we couldn't wait for.
Our arms are left at Jam and Java.
Yeah, I tore them off. They're still up there. But yeah, they also played Chevy Nova. Like they played so many songs that we were like, this goes so hard. I'd love to see it live. And
Yep.
one thing we were talking about when we did the 6 songs EP episode was like, you know, it may not be exactly our vibe on that record overall, but we do like some of the songs from it for sure. And we were like, you said specifically, like, I think hearing these songs live would like transpose the spirit of them in a way that maybe it wouldn't on the record. And
Yes.
they played most of the songs on the EP, I think.
And I would even go so far as to say that's the case for songs on 2 Years to Never.
Yeah. Similar vibe.
Lullaby was he played, and I'm like that. It sounds really good. They
really
sometimes songs you have to see them in a particular element for it to click.
Yeah.
And seeing the dudes ripping it up.
Yeah. No, you were saying like, okay, so this might not be our vibe with the 6 songs, but like imagine this like in a club with like the lights flashing and people cheering and Joel just melting that guitar. And that's like what it was tonight. It was awesome. Like it really was the right venue for that kind of sound. And You Bring Me Down, which is like our shared, I think we both had it as our number 2, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe one of us had it as our number 1, but we both really liked that song a lot. And boy, they played that song live and it ripped.
And we got some video of that, so we'll definitely be sharing.
Yes. During the sound check, we heard that. We heard Chevy Nova. We heard Seasons. And we were just like, dude, the set is gonna rule.
Yep.
We kept hearing the like ding 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 bass line from Chevy Nova, and we were just like, oh, dude, can't wait. But we shared back in the day our festival set lists that we would like them to play, and they played almost all the songs from both of our set lists for that. You had Seasons, Love by the Numbers, South Capitol Street, Middle Ground, Chevy Nova, Banana Man, Shrinky Dinks, My Bike, Where's My Mind, which we'll get to, and Lullaby. And only one they didn't play was Love by the Numbers.
Yep.
And I had Banana Man, Seasons, Lullaby, Cowboy, which they didn't do, Middle Ground, Chevy Nova, Love by the Numbers, My Bike, South Capitol Street, and Give Me a Chance, which they did play. And I think Give Me a Chance was the last song before the encore, maybe? I think that was right.
Maybe.
And then, yeah, they had like blown through so many songs and we knew there was one left and we were like, what's it going to be? And you had speculated earlier, like, do you think they'll play any covers? And I was like, well, they did used to play Where's My Mind in their sets, and we didn't know what the last song was going to be, and then just like ding 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 ding, and Jamie went ooh, and was like, oh, this is it. And the whole crowd was doing the woo.
Yeah, they didn't have to do them from the stage. Everybody was just doing the woos.
So great. It was a very fun way to close.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still on a high. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
We did our best to mix it up in the pit.
Yes.
It exhausts you faster at this age than it did when I was in my teens.
Yeah, we were joking about doing our stretches with the guys before the show to limber up.
But yeah, there was the pit was not as robust.
Yeah.
We'll say, and I will say it was like mostly dudes of a certain age.
Yeah, our age. Yeah,
there's like maybe 8 people in the pit.
It was never super extensive, but
No
I will say
pits,
I'm glad
really.
it was there, and I was worried there wouldn't be one at all, and it opened up pretty quick, and we did help opening it up. But I tried to keep it going a few times, and I think most people were kind of like, oh, we're pretty tired. So maybe me and one other dude a couple times, but you can only keep up a pit for so long, and they played for, I don't know, I feel like it was an hour and a half, probably, at least.
Yeah, I wish they had some set lists. I wish we could have snagged one of them from the stage. I always forget.
Oh, well, I saw them give them out to people, and I was like, I could like crush my way up and try to grab one, but
yeah.
Oh well, I'm sure they could give us one if we really wanted.
Yeah.
But it was a great set list. They talked a little bit in the interview about how Furnace Fest will look a little different, so I'll be curious to see what that's like.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to be a more pared down set. I doubt. It seems like they were talking about maybe having it be a more serious set, so maybe
a little more aggressive.
Maybe not No Banana Man, maybe no My Bike.
Maybe. I feel like that's what people want to hear. I don't know, maybe not. But I was really, like, Lullaby was one that I was like excited at the prospect of them doing, but I wasn't sure if they would, and I was so glad to hear it like transposed to this kind of context. But maybe Lullaby is not a Furnace Fest contender. But yeah, they also talked about Conrad being at the Pennsylvania show.
Yeah.
So curious to hear about that too. But man, what a fun show! What a fun set!
What a bunch of good dudes!
Really great guys. We talked to them all after, and just I don't know.
Greeted by Joel when we got there with some hugs.
Yeah, just the best.
Just the best. The absolute best.
Best guys. What a fun night. What a great way for them to come back into the world.
Yeah. And Adam was saying they were joking in the interview about how he's like used to be a terrible drummer and how garbage he was and how he never used a click track and that he's like better now. And I'm like, I could absolutely see that.
He was great.
He was just absolutely going ham.
I always thought he was good, but I understand the point of like he was fast. Now he's like proficient, and he was able to be as fast as he was however many years ago. So
Jamie holding it down, slapping the bass.
Awesome.
Yeah, like for a guy who was one of the guitar players for many years, it makes me think of our dude Scott from Five Iron. When the band has a need, you step up, take over. But I'm always impressed when people can just be like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll just start ripping it up on the bass."
Right. Well, and like we said, Joel was just the singer originally, and now he's solo shredding.
So good.
Yeah, they all just sounded great, and even those harmonies, like we've talked about, that they did a lot of multi-part harmonies on the early records, and that's what set them apart. Like these two holding it down with two great harmonies. It's not 4 different parts necessarily, but it always sounded full, like we said. And I don't know, man. I had a lot of fun.
Of fun.
Very psyched.
Worth the trip.
Yes.
Got to meet a couple dudes.
Shout out to Ivan and Yasin. Good folks. I don't know if there were other. Yeah, we had some conversations with people who were like, "You should know about our podcast if you don't already," based on some of these names of bands you're saying.
Yeah, this dude at the end of the at the end of the show just came up to us and started talking to us like almost like it was mid conversation. He's like, "You guys are just like me, listen to Ghoti Hook and Value Pack and Craig's brother." We're like,
"Do you know the podcast?
Have we talked before? What's happening?"
But yes, our people in that sense.
Yes.
But cool venue, cool folks there.
Yep. It was funny though, like the number of people that were like, wait, where are you from? You came here just for this?
For this?
Like, yeah, the dude from the Throws was like, holy shit.
Well,
yeah, like
worth it.
Worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Very happy we did it.
And I'm glad that we went to this set because it sounds like this is the more extensive of between this and Furnace Fest. So for those of you going to Furnace Fest, I would certainly encourage you to I'm not even sure when this episode's coming out, but whatever. I hope everybody gets a chance to see them, because you never know how just the drummer from the Throws, he's like, I was like, yeah, this is our first time seeing you. He's like, yeah, it might be the last.
Yeah.
Dudes at this age, you never know. Bands get back together for just a handful of shows, and
well, I know before this one, Joel had kind of framed it as like, we'll see what happens after these few shows. I hope they keep it up, man. I hope they at least keep playing somewhat regularly, rather than waiting 15 years for the next one. So
yeah, I'm not saying that they need to do like. I know it's unreasonable at their age with their jobs and their families, like doing a full blown tour is just like it's unreasonable for but for one off shows. I would like to. Yeah, I would definitely like to see more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We there was one guy in the crowd who was like, "New songs," and Jamie was like, "We don't have any of those." So we're not saying they need to record a new album. Although if they want to do new material, that's great. But yeah, just play some more shows.
Yes. I don't know, like re-recording, remixing of Banana Man.
I almost brought it up to Adam when we were talking Banana Man at the end there, but I still support that initiative.
Well, and was it Joel too who said like because we were talking about Middle Ground and you were saying like how they'd never played it before and he's like he just felt like I think he said something that Banana Man like came out so fast and I don't even know, it just seemed like
they didn't get to fully
no
aspect of the Banana Man rollout of those great songs was honored in the way that they hoped they would be, I think. But they were honored tonight on that stage, baby.
Yeah, they were.
So fun.
Got some bikes, got some bananas.
Even some Stevans, some hits you wouldn't necessarily think were coming.
It's true.
Yeah, man. Great times.
Great times. I think we should celebrate with some more Mega Mix sour Mike and Ike's. What the fuck is this?
It's a little nub.
It's a little Mike and it's one of Mike's nubs. Or is it? Is Ike?
Maybe Ike's. All right. Well, may you all toast your sour Mike and Ike's in honor of Ghoti Hook as well.
That's what they all would want.
Cheers.
Yeah.
You want us to have our heads together?
When we're off together dancing
it's like we're doing harmonies into the same mic.
Exactly.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, my baby.
I think we should forget about the podcast and just start recording some barbershop.
Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. Motto's always been when it's right while waiting till the middle of a cold dark night. When everything is at a little light of day. And you know the night is always gonna be there anyway. It fell apart.
Perfect.
That's pretty good.
I'm not participating because So John, remember when we were recording the other night, and I was like, oh man, I haven't talked this long in a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was actually starting to get sick, and so then I fully lost my voice this weekend. So I'm now just starting to be able to talk normal again, and so I don't know if singing Afternoon Delight is on the menu.
I think most doctors recommend that's particularly good for your vocal cords.
Cure for what ails you, buddy.
It's like,
speaking of which,
Doc, will I be able to sing Afternoon Delight again? Like, sure. Well, I wasn't able to before.
Dr. Those Ikes, bro.
Oh man, hell yeah!
Busting out the Ikes.
So Jason brought us a box of Mike and Ike's, and John, the last time we had Mike and Ike, it was in Virginia. We had the Mike and Ike sours.
Those were good.
Oh my god,
Those are good.
So good. I'd never seen them before, but they were in the hotel, little hotel food store or whatever, and I was like,
weird, almost extraterrestrial coating on those.
But great flavor variety. I felt like there was a billion flavors.
No, those were good.
For sure.
We gotta find those again.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing the mics and the Ikes.
Always happy to do you all right.
That's right. You're on mic. We're eating mics.
I mean, our studies show that people want more of us
chewing
into the
mic.
Yep. Can you hear that? Can you hear me talking with a partially full mouth? Straining my jawline.
Well, what a delight to be joined on the podcasting couch.
An afternoon delight.
An afternoon delight. Producer, Jason in the house.
Hello.
Emerged from the shadows. Here to grace us with his presence for our...
I maybe shouldn't have put so many Mike and Ike's in my mouth.
If you mix them up with the jelly beans at the same time, what a
What a nightmare.
Lava eruption.
Well, John, I feel like we should keep these around, and any guest we have
Yep.
needs to take just like a small little handful.
I think so.
A jelly bean and a shot.
That's right.
Oh.
It's
Oh,
the-
Oh no!
Oh no.
Hold on a second.
Fallen soldier. Can I give you these back?
Take what you want.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
try some. Take what you want.
Okay.
Take what you want.
Feed some to me like a baby bird. That's a lot. There's a lot of onion in there. I can already see.
Or blackberry.
Can you turn it
true.
around so I can see the
Here you
color
go.
coding?
It's kind of cheating, but fine. You're safe with yellow.
Yellow is the safety. I would save the yellows as your home base.
As a palette cleanser.
Yeah, because
As it were.
which color did you go with first?
I went, I think, bacon straight away.
You got bacon straight away.
Yep.
It's powerful.
Right into the bacon world.
That's
Let's-
a tough first one to go with.
Let's go straight into the blackberry or onion choice.
Oh no.
Bromber ele lo.
Blackberry.
Okay, good.
What a delight.
Yeah, right.
Let me just say.
Afternoon delight.
Hey, so the purpose of having me on the podcast is to talk about the 5 Iron Frenzy dumpster box set that I've been working on for the better part of several months.
Yes.
I would think your listeners might find some of the anecdotes about this production interesting.
Yes.
Number one, when I pitched the idea originally to them, I think that the enthusiasm level was like, really? You think people would go for that? It's probably okay. Maybe. I don't know. How much would it be? So we had to basically cost everything out. I was insistent that we produce the records domestically. So find a pressing plant in the United States who I can work really closely with. And more recently, I think I did something like 30,000 units of the Zach Brown Band record. And also Zach and his team were insistent that we do that somewhere in the United States. Most of the records that are produced that you own or we do through Tooth and Nail are produced at GZ in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with them. You just do not have a lot of flexibility and freedom to get wacky and zany.
Yeah.
Sure.
And oftentimes GZ does not offer random colored or recycled PVC vinyl. So that became like twofold a mission for producing domestically is using recycled PVC that a bunch of plants just can sort of pull together and melt and smelt together so that you can have ugly looking vinyl most of the time. Sometimes it's occasionally good looking vinyl. But this pressing plant in Dallas, who I was pressing some Zach Brown Band records, I went there and showed them this idea for a dumpster that would hold all of the 5 Iron Frenzy canon on vinyl, essentially, with the exception of The End Is Here, the last live record. I felt like it was a little redundant of Proof That the Youth Are Revolting. And honestly, the performances had a different energy entirely during Proof than they did for The End Is Here. I feel like there was really good, solid recordings and performances out of 5 Iron Frenzy during that last show ever, but once they reunited, there was no point in calling it the last show ever, and it lost a little bit of its luster.
Yeah.
Blueberry. That's a good one.
Right. Good.
Nice.
So, about a year and a half ago, did you meet the hot sauce guy, Danny
Yes.
Cash?
Yeah.
You went and helped pack 5 Iron Frenzy records, right?
Right. Yeah. Went to the warehouse and with Brad and who else?
Sherry.
Yeah. I think it was.
No chili.
Yeah. He was a really cool dude.
Right. When we thanked the hot sauce owner for letting us pack 5 Iron Frenzy records in the back of his warehouse, we thanked him by getting this plaque made. I made it myself of the Until This Shakes Apart album release. And the second I got it, I like threw it into a dumpster near my house and took a picture of it for social media just as a joke. Like,
Right.
it was like, hand him this gift, and then the joke is like immediately he disposes of it.
Right.
Perfect.
But it gave me the idea to like, oh, let's do a dumpster box. And in fact, NoFX and Fat Records kind of had done a dumpster themed 7-inch box set before for their musical Home From Home, but they had made it out of like die cast metal and every box was like 8x8 and made of real steel, and each box cost like $750 or $800. They still have them for sale now because it's like a few 7 inches off of a very obscure musical in the Fat Wreck canon. And the thing should have won awards, but it was just way too customized and premium for the fan base. So making one in mass was the idea. To sell an empty box was also an idea because we wanted it to be available for people who don't like vinyl, but they've collected show flyers.
Yeah.
And such like that. I have too many jelly beans in here. They're going back in the pile.
That's fine.
Damn it.
Got to rebag.
Yep.
Yeah, bag up your slick boners.
So when I costed everything out with the pressing plant, I figured that like you could blend solid colored records for just the box set and random colored vinyl for the solo people who just want to order 1 or 2 records. They can't afford a $300 box set. And then I went to a Five Iron Frenzy practice when they were opening for Save Ferris this summer. And I basically told all the band members, I have to shoot you talking about this video or this campaign. And about half of them were excited about it. Most of them were just like, can you get somebody else to do it? And I'm like, I've already gotten all of them to do it. You have to do it too. So we ended up shooting it. I edited a cut of it together, and it was really flat. Like, it was good, but it was all very informative. I think my job is to instruct people in my profession typically. Here's how you do what you do, when you do it, and how soon you need it done by. It's kind of like the role that I play in my job, and I think I coached them to explain the value proposition really well, but it wasn't silly enough. So I got done editing it. I was ready to turn it in. And then I was just like, this is not what it needs to be. It's not crazy and zany enough. So I called Me Without You's manager, Mike. And Mike is really a gifted, creative person as well. If you've seen any of the Me Without You online stuff, they just did a Hallmark campaign recently that was super silly.
I don't think I realized that's who that was.
And it was Five Iron Frenzy's manager for the entire reunion cycle. So when they did Engine of a Million Plots and they put out the whole Kickstarter campaign, Mike was behind all of that stuff. And he also manages Me Without You. So he's just a really fun dude to talk to because I love his box sets. He makes all those box sets for Me Without You, the deluxe edition ones, like by hand. And they're the best looking vinyl I have in my entire collection. And so he and I were like trading back and forth links for bad infomercials from the 70s and then the 80s and then the early 90s. And we called up Peter Rollo, who did the Five Iron Frenzy DVD documentary. And by saying he did them, I should say that Peter was the only saving grace for that. Creating titles, creating chapters, creating like the DVD and everything like that. Because under Reese's guidance, it was basically just raw id of Reese for probably 4 hours. So even Peter had a challenging job trying to take that thing and cull it down into the monster that it is today. But he's really good at graphics. It's his full-time career to do computer graphics. So there's a chili. There's a chili jelly bean.
I mean, it's not bad.
It's not good.
It's not good. Jason,
When you hit the onion, you will know.
You'll know.
You will understand. Not
I haven't
good.
got to the onion yet. Thank goodness. So we just kept like a working board of crazier edits, and this video campaign was just getting crazier and sillier and more fun.
Yeah.
Like intentionally throwing ideas out, like making the subtitles wrong.
Yes. That to me is one of the more subtle parts of the video that I absolutely love so much.
Right.
Anything, stuff like that, absurdist stuff to me is just like, that's just kind of my lane. And I think having Five Iron people be silly is one thing. I think that's kind of expected, but some of the other directions that you took it and other things I thought were pretty inspired. And Reese with
you should talk about the Reese segment with the dumpster.
So that was super strange. Reese wanted to practice with the band and he wanted to then drive up to Fort Collins, 2 hours away from Denver, get a tattoo of Mr. Rogers, and drive back to have a second practice before the Save Ferris show. So this was kind of a harebrained idea anyways. So he and Sonny were going to go do this. And so Reese was kind of like, I don't know if I have time to shoot this. And I said, Reese, this is going to have to trump you wanting to do your Will Rogers thing, or at least you're going to be late to practice and get both done. So I found a dumpster that looked exactly like the idea that I had sort of put together. And we went up to this house, and this guy was like chainsawing in his driveway, and he owned his own dumpster for some reason. This is just that part of Denver where you own a dumpster instead of a trash bin.
Sure.
And he's chainsawing, so I got to go to this complete stranger holding a chainsaw and be like, can you stop just for a minute chainsawing
And can I
in
use
your own
dumpster?
front yard, and can we shoot this video of us throwing away 5-iron records? So I took the small, medium, large, XL vinyl pressings.
Yeah.
And had Reese essentially, and a box that Leonore has of keepsakes. So old DVDs and old magazines, flyers, everything like that. And I basically said, Reese, just start bantering and make this as crazy as you can possibly think to make it about the stuff you want to throw away. And I kind of coached him through some stuff. And as he was finishing up with the last record, I could hear that noise of like brakes compressing, the hissing noise behind me. And I knew what that noise was. It was a dump truck coming our way.
Perfect.
And I like kind of look behind me, and it's coming at the speed that would indicate to me he's about to take the dump in front of us and dump it into his thing. So we have to quickly like grab all the records out of this dumpster, and the dump truck comes up and grabs this giant dumpster bin, and Reese is like ready to walk away and leave. And I'm like, no, Reese, as the dump truck is like starting to lift the dumpster up, I'm like, you need to salute the dump truck. And I'll edit it in such a way that makes it look like this was all very intentional.
Yeah. I mean, that was the Lord right there. That was probably.
It really was. And to have all of that kind of happening in the background over a fake phone number and
great.
a call now.
Well done.
All of those little like details. There's also something that has to be said about in 1993, when Xamator was starting to become like a thing.
Yeah.
Before 5-Iron Frenzy, they started a magazine publication called Real Mean Donkey. It was a zine that would tell local Denverites about what shows were coming up. It would be musings from Reese and other friends about political things or shows they went to. It's called Real Mean Donkey. And you could also call the knob line at that time, which was a concert phone line. And most of the time it was concerts, but sometimes it was just people babbling incoherently. You'd call a voicemail line and you just listen to babbling like you're doing right now.
Sounds
If
like
you're
our
listening to this podcast.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey-yo. And when 5-Iron Frenzy broke up in 2003, the knob line was still active. And so after 5-Iron's last show, they had a coffee gathering down in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, where I live now. And everybody could go to this thing and say hi to the band and hang out and say goodbye, you know, like hug it out with your friends with 5-Iron. And I went up to Keith. I was in college at that time in 2003. And I said, hey, can I take over the knob line? You're done with music. You're over. I'll take it over. I'll be the guy to announce concerts. Just send me the, you know, it was like $18.95 a month or something like that to pay for this phone line. And so I kept it going for maybe 2 years after that, the 575 KNOB line. And then I just like stopped paying the bill, just forgot about it. Like, you know, I got a couple collections, like nasty letters, and then eventually it just went away.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think like, you know, phone lines, whether or not you realize it, you can get for free at this point.
Yeah.
So
That's what our voicemail line is.
right.
Yeah.
And that was true in 2005 as well. But I was moving out with life and done with like having to keep up with what bands were popular. But so the line's been dead since around 2005. And I thought it would be funny to put that on the front of the dumpster and just have people call it because it's a non-working number. And I wanted to engage the algorithm once the video posted to have a phone number that didn't work, and have people comment on this video, hey, your phone number doesn't work. Even that, a single comment makes that post more prominent in the algorithm.
That's good.
So it's just like free bonus hits on the visibility of this stupid campaign.
And then you reply to each one, weird, I'll look into it.
Yeah, exactly right. And then it just it keeps it going. Okay, I'm going to onion.
Uh-oh.
What do you think?
Blackberry or onion?
Either a delightful
Oh,
spread.
that's onion.
Thoughts? As potent as a dumpster.
Whoa.
Takes you on a journey.
That is a real journey.
Sure is.
It's all bad.
It's a bad journey.
It's like toilet water bad.
Yeah. You're taking this in more in stride than I did.
It's so bad.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's got like because it sort of hits you in olfactory.
Sinuses.
Yep.
You're getting like the smell of gym socks
Yep.
meets like a tang. It's all unpleasant. All of it's unpleasant.
You gotta chase it with a
Baba
yellow.
Ganoush.
Yes, also that.
I'm gonna bring some Lebanese baba ganoush into the equation here.
So good.
And hey, it might spice this up
Oh,
just a little bit.
maybe it's
There you go. Extra onion flavor.
flavor profile combo we all needed.
Our plan was to make 500 random colored vinyl and 500 box sets. People reacted very favorably to the video. They reacted with their wallets to more box sets than we thought. So the goal was always to make, you have to run like 1,000 boxes. We were hoping we could sell 500 box sets and maybe 500 empty boxes for people who had already been collecting 5-iron records along the way. And so it ended up that they sold, I think, something closer to like 800, which is great. That's huge. And so we took the finished orders and then submitted them to the plant. And I just got the test box in the mail a couple days ago, and I haven't posted. This will probably post after this has already been announced, but it doesn't fit on a vinyl shelf. It's too tall by about 0.25 inches.
Shoot.
Which is really annoying, which delays everything. Like basically we have to go back and resize this box to make it fit perfectly. It also was glossy, which for a dumpster is a weird contrast. It looks really good from a presentation, your vinyl collection. Like this thing shines and it's huge because it fits more than just all 10 5-iron records. You could fit all the 7 inches, the deluxe editions of Until This Shakes Apart, the Between the Pavement and the Stars record, and probably some CDs and t-shirts in this thing. It's wide on the shelf if it fit on the shelf, but it's also shiny, which I thought was the right call until I looked at it and I thought dumpsters aren't shiny unless they're wet. And they're not usually wet on the outside. They're wet on the inside.
They're more matte.
Yeah, so a couple things have to get adjusted, which means that this will not be arriving under the Christmas tree or menorah or Kwanzaa
Candles?
dinner.
Cake?
What else we got? The Punch New Year's Eve
Sure.
sangria.
Ramadan sometimes?
Ramadan? No, not Ramadan.
Not this year.
That's not.
Sometimes? I don't know.
We're all canceled.
Sorry.
I'm trying to be inclusive, and in so doing, making myself.
I'm looking to the interreligious scholar over here.
I just watched. Did you guys watch Charlemagne the God on The Daily Show?
I heard about this.
He
but I
just
didn't
did
see it.
this, and he's like talking about. He shows Felicity Huffman trying to say. She says something that's so insensitive to African American cultures, trying to be inclusive, but ends up turning herself more racist.
Yeah, yikes.
It's
Well,
so doing.
At least we tried.
Yeah, it's a good effort. White idiots.
Yeah.
So, well, no box set for Christmas.
Nope, we're canceling Christmas for you.
There, no Christmas, only Krampus this year.
I must say this though, we got a lot of flack for Until This Shakes Apart coming late, and people being like, why is this so delayed? I bought this like 6 months ago. This is garbage. And I kept insisting as much as possible to the audience to be like gentle about it because it would be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
The payoff would be worth it. I'm going to go to the extreme lengths to make sure that as a fan of 5-Iron Frenzy, it's something I'm proud to own and want to own and will keep as like something I treasure for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so bearing that in mind, I think once people realized and got the record, they stopped complaining almost instantly. They're like, oh, okay, I forgot all about that complaining that I was doing on social media about how late it is. And I think it stinks when you tell people we're hoping to have this by Christmas and it doesn't get there by Christmas, of course. So we're going to try to, the recycled random colored vinyl that people ordered, proof that the youth are revolting and end is near, end is near. Those will probably still all ship out in time for Christmas. Okay. So people who bought one-offs and not the complete box set, they'll get their copies. They'll probably brag about it. They'll probably make the people who ordered box sets even more angry. But hopefully also make them look forward to what they're going to get as like a quality product. Because the remasters, the other piece of this is we remastered all the records. Yeah. And they sound so good. Yeah. Like it's stupid how good they sound. That's awesome. They have no right to sound that good given what the source material was. But
right. Yeah. You know, some vinyl companies might get the prototype dumpster, be like, doesn't quite fit, doesn't quite look right. What are you going to do? We got to meet the deadline. It's not the unoriginal vinyl way. It must be done in a way that will serve the fans and the artists that you're serving as best as you can. So.
At this point, when I'm working on something now, in some projects' case, for like 3-4 years, the 6-week to 10-week delay that it might cause of aggravation and temporary heartache for people to like scan across their record shelves and in the middle have this absolutely obnoxious ostentatious blue dumpster like standing out like a sore thumb. As a 5 Hour and Frenzy fan, when you bring a stranger over to your house or you bring a friend over to your house and they're looking at your records like in a very cursory way, I always dreamed that this would be the showpiece, the thing that people stopped and had to ask about. What the hell's that thing? Yeah, that's cool. And it will succeed at that. Yeah. And the little tiny stickers. Yes. We put on there, you can put them anywhere you want, truly, on top of the dumpster. Will be really fun. And then on the back of that, we decided to scan a complete Real Mean Donkey zine.
There's a bug on there.
That's cool. Sorry. We decided to scan one of the original zines that the band, before they were 5 Hour and Frenzy, put out. Cool. And it's cool because it has a lot of references to things that later became part of 5 Hour and Frenzy canon. Like the Real Mean Donkey issue that we published from 1993 says, our newest issue ever.
Well, I know 5 Hour Nation is extremely excited about these, so...
The thing is, I love that I'll never know.
Sure.
There's also a virtue. What do you mean? There's also a virtue in this unique audience's perspective on life that if this was the most excited, treasured thing that these fans ever bought in their 40s related to music loving, the first thing that they would do is go online and shit all over it. You know?
Right. That's true.
Be like, you know what? The thing that's missing from this is the smell.
Right.
This thing needs to smell bad, you know, or whatever. Like, that's kind of the beauty of what you do. And I'm right there with them as fans. Like, I want to look at it on my shelf and just be like, you know what I mean? Like,
you have to prepare for a lot of extremely earnest posts of people being like, this is what the band means to me, X, Y, and Z. And then there are going to be the posts where people like actually have it like next to their garbage outside. People are totally going to do that. And I think that's going to be like, just sort of reinforce that it's there. Everybody's in on the joke.
It's like a seal of approval to watch somebody Photoshop these things on fire. Right. We actually open up the lid now, and inside, like you open up the lid, you see the records. It looks beautiful, and inside with the records there's the fire coming in the inside of the dumpster lid. So cool. It fits perfectly where you can see the flames just peeking out over the records.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And we printed more flames inside the liner. But
perfect.
You know, it's funny. I'll be candid about this, but we had a very specific vision for how we wanted to execute the MXPX box set that was taken away from us completely. Middle of project, right? Just basically, thank you, you've done enough. We'll take it from here. And furthermore, you know, you're going to get no credit for any of this. No extra points, no acknowledgement, really. I mean, we got a little bit of acknowledgement and I think maybe one or two something or others, but it was basically like, yeah, we're going to bury that as part of the history of this thing. And that was a major bummer for me as a fan. So to be able to have a redemption opportunity, and not only is it a redemption opportunity with a band who I love sincerely and appreciate, but it's also the kind of redemption that smears irony in the face of, essentially being told your vision for this is not good enough. This is like a really cool and beautiful opportunity to say, like, no, if you let me run with it as far as I want to, I'm still going to know where the boundary is, and I'm still going to make it like the best it can possibly be. Because I still, there's things about looking at that other box set where I'm just like, well, I can tell exactly where I stopped doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this one will be, come good or bad, everything it's supposed to be in the fans' mind, I think. And it sounds haughty to speak for what the fans want, but again, nobody is going as deep into the well as I will in fandom, and has been there since, their second show or third show or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I think it speaks to the character of the band too, that they have known you and appreciated you for a long time and are just like, yeah, man, do what you want. And that they are giving you that level of artistic freedom because they've seen it pay off before is, just consistent with what a good group of folks they are and artists they are.
They are, and they've also let the fans determine their outcome at this point. The only reason they're a band is because the fans are keeping them around.
Right.
I think they'd be all friends probably.
Right.
Maybe do what most bands do and lose touch. Certain members just sort of float off into the ether or whatever. But the fans are basically saying that's not an acceptable solution for us. We demand a covers record, or we demand a new record or something, like
some shows in the Midwest, perhaps.
This artistic expression.
Some people are saying, like
people are talking.
Maybe a concert. Well, let's say somebody's listening to this and they're like, shit, I didn't know about this.
Yes.
I didn't order it. Is there anything they can do to obtain any of this?
So.
Okay.
I think that we built
Is this person listening? Is this person in this room?
No, I knew about this, but I'm just saying, the casual fan.
I think it'll be one of those rare birds where the FOMO will be real, and there'll have been 40 copies or something like that of completed box sets that they've held aside for a rainy day. You have to do that for damages and for returns, or people who just flat out look at it and they go, when did I spend this money? I really need that money back right now.
Right.
So there will be another chance, but it will not be a big chance at redemption or getting it.
Well, for those of you who did the right thing, we look forward to your posts and photoshops and
and this episode doesn't even have to air until it's like in people's hands. That's the nice part about it. We can talk about the behind the scenes, and you could probably even edit all this together with somebody else's perspective from the band on it and make it just one big massive,
there you go,
what a pain in the neck project this was, but also really fun. I've never had this much fun having to do this much work.
That's cool.
When I first started, when this project was first announced, and I started going to this, I was like, I'm just going to get the albums to replace the ones I don't already have. But then once I learned that everything was remixed, remastered, the albums themselves are going to sound better. I was like, I can't. I mean, to be like, have the original, small, medium, that pressing, and then the one that I just couldn't justify. I'm like, I have to do the whole thing. And so I started out piecemealing it, and then I eventually was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna
You're never going to regret that decision. And I got rid of my first pressing 5 Iron Frenzy copies because I just knew that this was going to be that much better.
Yeah.
Right.
Apart from the colored vinyl, which I didn't feel was like, with the exception of our newest album ever, I didn't feel like the colors were particularly inspired. I like small, medium, large, but they serve a very fast casual dining experience sort of function in the vinyl world.
Yeah.
And I'm like 5-course meal, sit down, sous chef kind of experience of the vinyl listening and tactile experience, which is not to be boastful, but to just say that, like, yeah, people go to school, culinary school, and travel around the world learning how to be a chef for years and years for a reason, so that they can make their own restaurants or do things like that that are tailored to the experience of their patrons. And that's exactly what I wanted this thing to be. I wanted to own it, and I wanted to be like, anytime I feel in a bad mood, I'm going to put on the It's Creative But Not Very Funny record and listen to some of these songs because they're bananas.
Rules.
You're not being needlessly boastful because you have the portfolio to back up what you're saying. Specifically, too, to that point, we have the songs from the Penalty Box first compilation, the volume 1.
Holding in our hot little hands right now.
That's right. I mean, it's just it's a beautiful thing too.
It is, man. Particularly for us, holds a special place in our hearts. But to gaze upon it in person.
Yeah, I need to open mine up.
Funny story about that front cover artwork, Songs for the Penalty Box. We had to recreate those fonts from scratch.
Right.
And in so doing, created an alphabet and revised the covers to make the pods from the Penalty Box 12 by 12 album art image for you guys. So the reason that you guys have art from pods from the Penalty Box, what was that, season 2?
Yes.
No, season 3.
Season 3.
Yeah.
Sure. Which was started, what, 2021?
20?
So we
19?
I think early 2021. I thought it was like January or February 2021 is when we started the.
So it all happened. It all happened the same time where I was ideating a Furnace Fest exclusive release of Songs to the Penalty Box for the reunion of Furnace Fest. For Furnace Fest 2021, the year that they were coming back, I was going to do a Songs to the Penalty Box release, and I got shut down. And I'm like, well, we already did most of the artwork restoration on this thing from the original poster I still have laminated in my basement, like the full size, full resolution poster that's 3 times the size of this album art. We scanned it, corner by corner by corner to recreate the artwork. And then basically Tooth and Nail said, it's too impossible to do 21 songs and license each individual song. That's going to be a nightmare. We're not doing it. And I don't even think anybody will show up to Furnace Fest and buy it if they did go. And so
sounds like a challenge.
So I said, yeah, challenge accepted. But in the meantime, I've got all this art. Maybe I can hand it over to John and Andrew for pots for the Penalty Box. And we swapped out the faces.
Worked out for us.
Your face and Andrew's face, John, for the little hockey players on the bottom. And so that became really like, I think I have a coffee mug with that graphic on it.
It's framed on my wall.
Framed on your wall.
Yep.
So it all sort of started at the same time, which is funny.
Yeah.
Could Tooth and Nail be any more wrong about like Furnace Fest? Who's gonna go to that? That sounds dumb.
I have learned about working with Tooth and Nail that they're usually very conservative, and it has been to their benefit for the most part as of the last 5 years. They're very conservative, and you have to have a very smart plan to come to the table. And if they tell you no, it's usually because you haven't thought your plan through clearly enough. So 21 songs on a double LP. What are you going to retail that for when each song costs X amount to license? Like the licensing alone of a record like that should technically be somewhere in the $8 range. You know what I mean? Just for the song use.
Yeah.
And not to mention all the other bells and whistles you have to try to put into it. The OB strip that's hand numbered, everything else, the QR codes that people have to redeem the record to buy it when they're at the festival. There's just a lot that goes into it. And so it taught me in the process of the last 3 years to get better and better at making the pitch, inclusive of like going to Capitol and saying, I need you, Capitol, to give me a reduced rate on the licensing fees because it's a comp and it's something unique and different.
Yeah.
Will you do something like that for us?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's challenges that come with it. And I would be honest with you, doing the Chariot, He is Legend, and Norma Jean for the first Furnace Fest and making a splash with AR technology and all that was absolutely the right call. This record would not have been the right call.
Yeah.
So everything kind of worked out for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And this, I think, for diehard Tooth and Nail fans will be something that they're really proud of owning.
Yeah.
Like much later in life. It's kind of that defining moment for people that when you go to the Punk Rock Museum and you see the decline of Western civilization comp on the wall or the dance craze for ska heads comp on a wall, that it sort of typifies their scene experience. That's this record.
Yeah.
Something I was going to say earlier, something that I love about physical media is, I mean, our computers can go down and we can lose all of our songs. Like everything digital could disappear for no reason. And to have a piece of physical media that you can hold in your hand, that you can read the lyrics, you can look at the artwork, you can read the stories, like we were talking about with the Real Big Fish record that you also, that just came out. And the detailing all of these stories, like it becomes more than just a record to throw on to listen to. It becomes sort of like a time capsule of an experience that we all have sort of like collectively been a part of. And you can't get that from throwing something on Spotify.
Something that I think I changed my philosophy on as a result of knowing you guys and your podcast and listening to your journey for the last 5 years, truthfully, is to start my exploration or pitch into a project with the artist or with a retrospective writer or a critic of music or something like that. I start my pitch off with, please, let's just leave your nostalgia out of this. Let's turn the conversation into how these experiences, this music, this art has shaped the person you are in 2023, the year you're in the present, the man or woman you are today. How does this art help to shape and define the way you view the world? And when people think about it like that, it's no longer interesting how many times they remember playing a CD on their way to Del Taco. It's a very small piece of it. And the more important, profound thing we get to pass on to our kids and their kids is these like shared experiences and the meaning that they create that become universal. It started off here when I was 14, when I heard ska music for the first time. And now, anytime I make assumptions about a new genre of music, I often have to remind myself, that's the wrong assumption. Maybe I should explore more. I'll take the music that's popular right now on the radio you and I were just talking about. Everything on the radio right now is just glorified disco. It is the absence of guitar. A fuzzy guitar is none to be found. And while I have a almost sickening reaction to that, because disco in my mind has always been the most aggravating form of music with no sustainability and longevity ever. As I get older, I'm like, you know what? ABBA is pretty all right. They could write some songs. There's some merit to some of these people in the song construction and everything like that. It's not my preference by any means. It probably never will be, but I can't write it off anymore. And something in my experience throughout my life has taught me that, what's popular or trendy is probably such for a reason. And especially going to help me when I have a teenage daughter in the very near future.
Yeah.
Who's like, well, my dad's cool because he listens to everything. He's not closed off. He doesn't just listen to his 90s songs from the penalty box comp all day long.
Maybe that's what she'll be jamming on.
Yeah, I mean, she's open to it, and I want her to be open to what's on the radio and why, and everything else in between. You know, I want her to listen. I showed her Archspire the other day, and she was really impressed with how fast the guy could gargle, and how fast everything was.
She been listening to any Humanity's Last Breath or?
Can't you know?
Not yet.
Not right now. It's about her curiosity into the extremes, like the extreme satellite things, and Humanity's Last Breath is a different kind of extreme. Archspire is interesting because it's just like, you know, you've got the guy that's just going. She's like, Daddy, I have a question. English? Any of that? I mean, we're not sure, honey.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Profane? Doesn't matter.
Right.
It's not going to hurt you. You know? So, yeah, I don't know. I think that taught me, I think you guys probably started this podcast with a similar thing in mind. Like, we're coming together to be nostalgic about something that happened to us a long time ago. And somewhere along the way, we all got kind of swept up in this journey of being grown-ups together.
Right.
And experiencing life together and going on this sort of waxing sentimental about old things that have happened, but more talking about like, what kind of ideas are we going to teach our kids if we taught them that girls are nothing but trouble?
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think this whole project would have been sustainable if we would have kept it to like just thinking about the good times that had happened. Like what became interesting, especially when we decided to go further than just one season and just one band, was like, so how did this shape us? And I feel like that brought us to a deeper kind of level of like, awareness of the specialness of the scene that we came from, beyond just like these happy memories, and more like, how did this shape us and shape a generation? And so, I feel like the journey that fans of Unoriginal Vinyl are on, and that you're on as you're curating the stuff, and that our various fan groups are on, is all kind of like along that same path.
I had a real like serious conversation with Matt from Supertones the other day about like, okay, so Adventures of OC Supertones on vinyl, and both of us were at the same time kind of been like, but why?
Yeah.
Like, apart from people like those songs, it sounds bad. It's got a very black and white view and thinking of spirituality or the world. He's not particularly proud of some of those views. He has a much more nuanced view of God, even though he's still a spiritual person and still a pastor. You know, he's like, but why? And I'm like, you know, in a way, Matt, it's because the youth. Because that's still a part of like your story as being.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, youthfully, blissfully, stupidly ignorant to all the nuance.
Right.
And as long as you color or tell a story from that perspective to your audience, they'll go along with you for the ride of listening to this record and reading a retrospective. But if you go out there and say, unless you're Ghoti Hook, which they can get away with it, but unless you go out there, if you go out there and say, this is really an impressive record, it's really great, everybody's going to love it.
Right.
Can't wait. I'm so glad it got remastered for vinyl. There's no remastering of the Supertones record.
Right.
It's masterfully bad.
Yeah.
However, it's youthful, and it's got a certain amount of sweetness to its imperfection, because it reminds us all of like picking up our instrument and being like, dude, I just figured out how to play a Supertones song in 14 and a half seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Well,
and I discovered who Metallica was because of.
Yeah, I mean, if you're lucky, if your parents let you.
Yeah.
To like turn on that beginning of the Supertones Strike Back record and be like, oh, I know what that is. I'm turning that on. I can't.
You know, that's something that I am discovering about myself is, looking, and this is something that I have evolved on in the podcast, is looking back on a lot of these albums and realizing they were very young. And of course you're going to have regrettable, unnuanced positions when you're a teenager or in your early 20s. But the thing that I'm working on for myself is to have compassion for my younger self, and to not look at that and look at who I was and completely shit all over who I was, because we were all doing the best we could, and it doesn't do any good to be so self-critical of a younger version of yourself who was trying to figure it out. And I do think there's some beauty in being able to say, like, this is who I was, and I can also now talk to you and explain how I'm different and how I've grown. And hopefully you can are willing to be a part of that conversation and not write me off because I was rapping to some ska songs back in the 90s.
Right. For example.
I don't know.
Well, I'm ugly as sin, and that is to say I'm not good looking, but I can bust some ska.
In fact, my rhythm rhyme is cooking.
California sun and sky.
This is beautiful. It's just off the dome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some straight fire bars here in Magnified Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's
I would
just,
drop the mic, but it's attached
dang
to
it,
this.
yeah, it's got that stand on it.
Take it over.
Yeah, youth is that hopefulness. It's that also appreciation of thinking of going up and not scolding your 14-year-old self or being critical of their position on life, but rather just being willing to like high five them and say,
Yeah.
you know, I think if you're familiar with like EMDR therapy, that's all it is like going back, talking, giving yourself self-talk by being a mentor to your younger self and giving yourself like more of a perspective of all the things that they have to look forward to, all the things that they can be hopeful about, all the reasons they were right for being needlessly, naively optimistic about everything.
Yeah.
It's like, those are good instincts. That's a hard thing to carry with you through your whole life. So find ways to hang on to that, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, one day you're going to be a little bit more cynical.
Well, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I like all of it. I always say that my favorite time of my life is the time I'm in right now. You know,
I mean, that's called mindfulness. That's called being present.
right. Yeah.
That's the way to be.
Yeah.
And that should be the goal.
There are eras that are certainly like filled with just sweetness and sugar. I think when you're 14 years old and a girl smiles at you for the first time, or you hear and go into your first mosh pit, there's a lot of adrenaline and endorphin that surrounds you that you've never experienced before.
Yep.
You know?
Adrenaline and boners. That's
Yeah. I mean, that's the name of this podcast, season 5.
I think so. We're happy to reveal today. That's the direction we're headed in.
yeah. Yeah, a girl smiling at me when I was 14 and just feeling conflicted about like, oh, am I lusting? Am I, should I be? I was like always super self-critical.
There's a yin and a yang to it always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was very few kids, as we were talking about, there's no nuance. It's just so black and white. And either you're...
She likes me, but I'm sinning.
Yep.
Because she likes me. Wait, yeah. I thankfully had a lot of youth group leaders come alongside me because, like, I think I've told you, my dad died at 14 when I was 14. So youth group leaders were all there to be like, hey, A, take it easy on yourself. B, keep that hopeful optimism that you have somewhere deep in your soul. Keep it there. And if you have to use music as your conduit to do that, then stick with the music. Play in your band, go to your shows, stay out until 3 a.m. on a school night, on finals week. It doesn't matter. Whatever is going to be the thing. And they were very, they were helping me without stating it as the obvious by saying, there are going to be things that are going to help you through this time, that are going to be healthy for you. And then there's going to be, self-destructive shame and guilt and fear and all these kinds of things that you don't really have a lot of bandwidth for right now anyways.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
grateful
funny.
that they were helpful in that moment as those figures.
Yeah, and for a lot of people out there that are listening to this podcast, it wasn't maybe a youth group leader as much as it was just listening to a CD
Yeah.
and hearing Reese Roper talk about his life or struggle or imperfection or feelings about, you know, needing God to increase in his life and heal with his hands or something like that, that was enough for them.
Yeah.
You know, that became the avenue by which they could start to feel things a little bit more presently and mindfully.
Yeah.
Sometimes that was the first exposure they had to it, more than going to church or a youth group retreat.
Yeah.
It's like going to a 5-iron show. It's important, but again, it's us looking at it now as adults instead of just reacting to it.
Right.
Like, this feels great to be in the pit during every new day. I'm gonna start crying, and I'm 15 years old, and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just cry. That feels good.
Sounds right.
Crying's cool. Sometimes, not around girls. Well, maybe if it serves. Never mind.
Well, buddy, we certainly appreciate the important role that you play in this scene and its continued unfolding as we all age and reflect, and the very important role that you play within our specific little pod community. So grateful for all the work you do and who you are, man.
Thank you.
Man.
You guys are nice.
Any other projects you want to plug before we close out here?
And are you coming to PFR with us?
When is that again? Last week?
February?
Oh,
I think it's February.
I'd love to.
You should come.
Maybe I'll make it work.
Pod for Rain 2024.
Yeah.
February 10th.
Pod
Hey.
for rain.
Mm.
I have to travel for like 6 weeks.
Okay. With PFR.
Unabated.
With PFR.
Yeah. I'm their
'Cause,
I'm their TM.
Okay.
Because you're going to be working on the Goldie's Last Day
Yes.
box set.
I finally found a way to make that happen. So that's great news. I'm really excited about that.
Awesome.
In that jangle pop
Yes.
sensational era of music. But
God,
again,
those-
I can have
those-
great ideas, but oftentimes I have to realize them in full, unpaid, and share those ideas as I finished pitch deck with
Right,
all of the
right.
bells and whistles accompanying, and have somebody just sign off on it or not.
Right.
And that's the hard part. Is like some people will get it, but thankfully at this point I've got more than one person who can say yes.
Hell yeah.
So that's helpful.
Those first, I mean, pretty much all PFR records just loaded with bops.
It gets a little like CCM cheeseball toward the end there. You
Like-
know what I mean? I think they recognized it when they got away from being an alternative band and more into just like straight newsboysy stuff. Like it was radio ready and it was really clean and polished, but I was like, I need a little dirty REM college rock
Yeah.
back in this mix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to do some homework before the show because it was really just Goldie's Last Day. That was like my jam, primarily.
I mean, those PFR posters in the Christian bookstores were everywhere.
it's true.
Yeah.
Their faces were, they were like them, All Star United, Third Day. They were like the face.
All-Star United.
Caedmon's Call, especially.
Caedmon's Cast, season 5. You heard it here first.
I thought, what was the other
I
name?
don't remember something better than that.
Jason, love you, appreciate you. Thank you so much for reaching out to us, making this happen. And where can people find you if they want to find out more about what projects you got going on?
We're going to have unoriginalvinyl.com kind of up and running in the new year in 2024, which is great. It's going to have a huge portfolio of amazing behind the scenes, test pressing alternate artwork, carousel images, variants that made it and variants that didn't make it. And then places to buy enamel pins and t-shirts. And
Hell yeah.
there's social media out there that I have people run as well. So
Little robot enamel pins.
yeah,
Hell
got
yeah.
them in the car.
Hell yeah. All right.
Well,
Thanks, buddy.
thanks, buddy. Keep it unoriginal.
See you.
Nice.
Let's see you in February at the Fine Line with PFR.
Can't wait for Goldie's Last Pod with you. The best. You've never really heard Chevy Nova till you've you've heard it live and screamed it from the top of your lungs. Thanks as always. Shout out producer Jason for doing all he does for the scene, for that vinyl subculture, for our pod. Just the best dude. Always great to see him. Great to talk with him. Great to be on the podcasting couch. And thanks to our dudes in Ghoti Hook, of course. What a great weekend. Us, walking down to South Capitol Street, checking things out there.
Dude, what a good time.
It was a really great time.
We said throwing on Chevy Nova right now, and
best.
What we said in what people just listened to is hearing some of these songs live is like the premier way of hearing any of it. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Chevy Nova rules here, but like, God,
yeah,
I'm hoping that was not our last time seeing them.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. But as we said at the time, if we would not have gone out for it, we would not have forgiven ourselves and have zero regrets about being out there for that. It was a great time. So thanks to those dudes forever. More Ghoti Hook shows, please. Come back on the pod anytime. Yes. But yeah, we hope everybody enjoyed it. We hope everybody enjoyed our unusual year. But we got our acts together at the end here and got you some good content. And 2025, sky's the limit. We're still deciding some things, but we got fun stuff coming up for you.
Yep.
Be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know more. But in the meantime, let us know what you think about all this, about this episode, about this year, about the future of the pod at Magnified Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow and subscribe to the pod if you haven't already. Give us a rating or review, 5 stars, please. Write a little funny review. We'll read that on the pod next year. Email us at magnifiedpod@gmail.com.
You can leave us a voicemail at 872-762-4763, 8727-MAGPOD.
You can support us at the Patreon, patreon.com/magnifiedpod, where we promise we will have some bonus exclusive content for you at some point here, and pick up some merch. Hey, what makes a better year-end present for the ones you love than maybe a Phantom Cackler t-shirt, for example? You can pick that up at magnifiedpod.storeenvy.com.
We don't have to be the only ones stuffing your stocking.
That's right.
You can
stuff a friend's stocking.
You can stuff it yourself. Hey, stuff yourself.
Hey, stuff yourself full of MagPod merch this Christmas. Thanks to Small Step Records for sponsoring us. Go to smallsteprecords.com to learn more. Thanks to the aforementioned shadow producer Jason and Bruno at Unoriginal Vinyl for our artwork. Well, I think I hear the voice of the spirit begging us to shut the fuck up, but we'll be back to try to make you go astray next year. We love you. Ooh. Yeah.
Man, it gives this album a whole new experience for me, because I don't know if I've listened to it since the show.
And I think I did, and my estimation for these tracks that we got to hear went up quite a bit in estimation after having heard them live. So
100%.
Yeah. 6 songs EP, good. You heard it here.
You heard it here second, because the first time we talked about it, our review was maybe not as favorable.
But songs came alive when we saw them. That's right.
Yes.
So go enjoy 6 songs, everyone.
And Merry Podsmas.
Merry Podsmas to all.
We love you. Go throw on some Dave Bazan Christmas albums.
Pour yourself some Christmas whiskey.
Some Sufjan Christmas. Hangnail. I listened to that Hangnail Christmas EP recently.
So good.
Oh man, hearing those John Warren vocals come on.
If you want to hear him talk about recording that, you listen to last year's episode about it where we talked with him.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
For more shows like this one, visit rockcandyrecordings.com.